Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel Julia Production. Kali ini aku mau coba-coba latihan buat speaking aku besok waktu sembuh. Jadi ini aku mau latihan tentang pembukaan, opening, isinya, sama closingnya. Jadi buat kalian yang sama prodinya kayak aku, prodi bahasa Inggris, kalian boleh ini lihat latihan aku hari ini. Besok aku mau sempro guys, doain oke?
Langsung aja aku mulai ke openingnya, kemudian ke isi dan ke closing. Oke, check it out.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. The honorable examiners of the status proposal examination Buruk Meningsi SS MPD, Yunita Puspitasari MPD, and Burosi Anjarwati MPD. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Ciliatus Hariro and I'm from English Department 2000B. In this beautiful morning, I would like to thank for the opportunity that has given to me to present my thesis proposal with the title The Correlation Between Reading Habit and Students' English Reading Achievement at the 8th grade of Junior Islamic Boarding School Plaza Jombang. Chapter 1 is about the introduction. This research has background. The first is the definition of reading, second is reading comprehension, the third is reading habit, and then limited by traditional culture, and I will give highlight for some previous studies. Definition of reading. Reading is one of the skills in learning English which has an important role, such as giving information to the readers. The reading comprehension is the main problem to develop appropriate and efficient understanding strategies. It is according to Brown 2001. With the purpose to increase the student reading achievement, reading habits are crucial to get better reading achievement. Reading habit refers to how much, how often, and what the student read. Students can choose whatever they read for increasing their reading achievement. It related to the student's preference, hobby, and willingness to read. Most of Indonesian students tend to be usually limited to oral traditional culture. They do not get the right habit of reading. They read only when having assignment in their school or home. They just enjoy watching TV, talking with friends, going to the shopping mall, playing games, and going to some event when they having time to have fun, and etc. Some studies are conducted by the researcher, one of them from Wulandari 2016, and the second one is from Muawana 2014. For Wulandari 2016, the research was conducted to find out whether there is a significant positive correlation between students' reading habit in English and their reading comprehension ability in the first grade of SMP PGRI 1 Gunung Pelindung East Lampung. The result can be concluded that there is a positive significant correlation between students' reading habit in English and their reading comprehension ability. Another research is conducted by Muawana 2014. The research discussed about the relationship between student reading habit and the reading comprehension at the second grade of SMA 2 Mei Ciputat. The result can be concluded that there is a strong relationship between students' reading habit and their reading comprehension. In previous studies, many of English class students rarely investigate reading habit in Islamic boarding schools. Even a lot of studies on reading habit and student reading achievement, but few or perhaps rarely researchers who investigate the reading abilities of students with basic education experience in boarding school. Furthermore, the research intends to fill in the gap by emphasizing more on the ability of students' reading habits in Islamic boarding school by comparing them to students' achievement outcomes. Based on supporting statement before, the researcher has aimed to investigate the correlation entitled The Correlation Between Reading Habit and Students' English Reading Achievement at the 8th grade of Junior Islamic Boarding School Plaza Jombang. The next is about scope and limitation. The scope of this research is conducted to the student at the 8th grade of Junior Islamic Boarding School Plaza Jombang by retrieval of data that held with questionnaire via Google Form that consists of 6 indicators. These are reading frequency, reading books, time spent on academic reading, time spent on non-academic reading, family motivation, and motivation in academic environment. The limitation of this research refers to the weakness of students that their school have tradition of spending more time on religious studies than general subjects such as English. The statement of the problem: is there any correlation between students' reading habit and reading achievement? The objective of the research: it is aimed to determine the correlation between the students' reading habit and their reading achievement. The significance of this research has two significances. First is, theoretically, the researchers hopes that the result of this study will contribute to the development of education, especially in the language. From practically, English teacher who expected this research can be a reference in improving students' reading skill. For the researchers who may apply the same research on correlation between students' reading habit and reading achievement, the research can be reference for other researchers to conduct further research. The definition of key term. According to Ziers, reading habit is more explicitly describe the addictive and unconscious process involved the construction of meaning from the word. Therefore, the researcher interprets that reading habit is the activity of reading continuously and unconsciously without command. And then for reading achievement, according to Bahasa and Mata 2012, reading and academic achievement are essential to the experience of academic staff and educationalists. Good reading habits serve as a powerful asset for the student to reach out in life. Therefore, reading achievement is taken from student score because it was taken as reward. And then I'm going to chapter 2. It is about review of related literature. The first is about theoretical base of variable. It is include of definition of reading habits, the importance of reading habits, factor influencing reading habits, the indicator of reading habit, and advantages of reading habits, and the last is about reading achievement. The first is about definition of reading. Reading is necessary skill for language learners. Brown, 2003, interpret on his statement that reading generally the most important ability for performance in all. The definition of reading habit. Reading habits in English would be someone who reads English in the text and then enjoy reading the text. Reading habit will help the learner to get meaningful knowledge and develop good academic performance in school. The third is about the importance of reading habit. Reading habit will help the learner get useful information and achieve a good academic performance in school. By reading the book habitual, student can get affirmation of or rejection of his thinking, which makes people think more fundamental, almost true and unfound in society. Reading habit give individual a feeling of value, which empowers them gradually to create the best of all ethics. That's the capacity to get it rather than condemn. Besides, the book can be very entertaining, especially when someone is questioning oneself and his belief. Based on discussion, it can conclude that the reading habits activities has a positive effect on the skills and achievement of every corner of school. And the factor of influencing reading habit, there are two, internal and external. From internal, there are motivation and reading interest, and from external, there are home environment and school environment. The fifth is about the indicator of reading habits. In gaining an effective reading habit, I take Julius Caesar theories. It is from page 59 until 60. Adheres in 2011 summarize 6 components of reading habit in achieving a successful reading habit. The first is reading frequency, the second is reading book, the third is time spent of academic reading, and then time spent on non-academic reading, family motivation, and the last is motivation in academic environment. The sixth is about advantages of reading habits. Voluntary 2016 claims there are more than enough advantages students can achieve. These are: helps the mind actively function, build a strong vocabulary, intellectual curiosity boost, the habit of reading implies psychological activity, and then helps the readers to have a positive attitude. And the last is about reading achievement. Before understanding about reading achievement, first we have to know about the meaning of the word achievement. The word itself means that achievement as a result of measurement and evaluation for the certain period. From this, it can conclude that reading achievement is taken from an academic performance that describes the amount of number as a score. And the next is about previous studies. These are the several studies that conducted to the students' reading habit and reading achievement. First is Voluntary 2016 conducted the correlation between student reading habit in English and student reading comprehension ability in the first grade of SMP PGRI 1 Gunung Pelindung East Lampung. This research is quantitative descriptive, and the result give a positive significant correlation between student reading habit in English and their reading comprehension. The second is Muawana 2014 conducted the research the relationship between students' reading habit and their reading comprehension, a correlational study at the second grade of SMA 2 Mei Ciputat. This study using variable X and variable Y, the result shows that there is a strong relationship between students' reading habit and their reading comprehension. The third is from Halisa 2018, conducted a study, the correlation between students' reading habit and their writing ability, and this research was conducted to the second year students at SMA N4 Kota Banda Aceh. The result of the questionnaire and the test shows that students have a high reading habit. However, only a few agree to spend the time, about 15 until 30 minutes each day, to read English. So, it can be concluded that the students have high reading habit even though only a few agree to spend 15 until 30 minutes of their time to read English each day, while they know that reading highly impacts their writing ability. The last is from Husna 2014, was conducted entitled The Correlation Among Readability Level of Text, Reading Habit, and Reading Achievement of the 8th grade students of MTS Al-Quran Harsa Lakum Bengkulu. This study showed that readability level of text gave the contribution to reading achievement, and reading habit gave the contribution to reading achievement. However, the researchers focused only on students' reading habit and students' reading achievement in Islamic boarding school. Most of previous studies sometimes just focus on the frequency and the amount of time in reading habit, but in my research, it is just focused in reading habit and reading achievement. The difference is in the independent variable, that in reading achievement. The difference is in dependent variable. It is about student achievement. The next is interwoven among variables. Could reading habits of students can relate each other? Could reading habits of students related to the contribution to their comprehension of reading? And in opposition, the contribution of their comprehension of the reading, it is related to the good reading of habit of students. Theoretical framework. In this research, the researcher focused on the correlation between students' reading habit and student reading achievement. Reading habit and student reading achievement. The reading habit can measure of 6 components of reading habit and being examined by questionnaire, while reading achievement can be defined as the result of the reading test that was examined by the teacher before. Therefore, it is necessary to know the correlation between students' reading habit and students' reading achievement. And it will give correlational computation, and I will count it on SPSS program, and I have the result of that. The next is about hypothesis. The alternative hypothesis, there is a correlation between students' reading habit and students' reading achievement. And the null hypothesis, there is no correlation between students' reading habits and student reading achievement. Chapter 3, the research method. The research design is about, in this research, it is conducted by quantitative research which is non-experimental design. According to Airy, non-experimental is used to identify variables and to investigate correlation between variables. In this research, the researcher chose research correlation because the researcher wants to know the correlation between students' reading habit and student English reading achievement. The researcher used the statistical correlation test in correlation research design to define and calculate the degree of association or relation between 2 or more variables of sets of scores. And then the variable of this research, the independent of variable, is reading habit and students' English achievement. Because there is no manipulation of an independent variable, this research conducted the correlation between reading habit and student English reading achievement. So the independent of variable is reading habit and also the student of English achievement. The population and samples. The next is the population of sample. The next is the population and samples. The population of this study is the students of the 8th grade of Junior Islamic Boarding School Plaza Jamang. There are 3 classes that consist of 124 total of students. For the sample, the researchers took purposive sampling as sample technique. The researchers took the sample of students at 8A only to represent the whole of the 8th grade population. The sampling technique used to minimize the time because of current conditions and to make it easy that the questionnaire spreading. Besides that, the teacher's advice had also been selected. Now we're going to the data collection procedure. First, the researcher prepared research instruments include the validity and reliability. The second, the researcher set a schedule for deciding a questionnaire about students' reading habit. The third, the researcher gave questionnaire via Google Form, which sends into student broadcast in WhatsApp to 42 students. And the fourth, the researchers request the data of student score in reading achievement to the teacher. The fifth, the researcher will analyze the questionnaire and the data score using SPSS statistics. And the last, the researcher gave the conclusion of the result correlation computation. And then we're going to the research instrument. The first is questionnaire and the second is documentation. From questionnaire, there are 30 item evaluation and check questionnaire for checking the reading habit. The researcher used a closed questionnaire. The questionnaire used 5 possibilities. The indicators of questionnaire are taken from the reading habit component of Julio Cesar's theory. First is reading frequency, second is reading book, third is time span of academic reading, fourth is time span of non-academic reading, fifth is family motivation, and sixth, the last is motivation in academic environment. The questionnaire validity checker is using content validity, while the reliability checker is using SPSS. Documentation: the researcher used student score from the teacher private document to conduct the grading achievement of the participation. And the last is about data analysis. After collecting the data, the researcher will analyze the data using SPSS. The data were analyzed by using Pearson product moment correlation. It was used to identify the correlation between students' reading habit and their achievement. The data were arranged by combining students' reading habit and reading achievement score. The Honorable examiners, I have been presented all the explanation from chapter 1 until chapter 3. That's all about my presentation. Thanks for your attention, and I will be ready to answer the question, and I hope I can answer the question well. Thank you. Oke guys, jadi seperti itu kurang lebihnya presentasi aku besok ini karena baru latihan sekali, makanya belum seberapa lancar. Coba aja nanti kalau misalnya udah latihan berkali-kali mungkin bakalan lancar lagi. Tuh, kalian jangan kayak aku ya. Misalnya mau sempo atau apa, latihannya cuma sekali dua kali. Kalian harus latihan berkali-kali biar ngomongnya lancar, biar nggak gugup juga, nggak nervous juga. Jadi tips dari aku, perbanyak latihan maka kalian akan terbiasa dan nervous itu juga akan hilang gitu. Oke guys, gitu aja, semoga bermanfaat. Thanks for watching and goodbye.